Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about philosophical reasoning. And my presentation has the following outline. First, I'm going to talk about introduction to philosophical reasoning, what philosophical reasoning actually means. Then I'll also talk about the fact that philosophical reasoning can help us understand different perspectives and the benefits that come afterwards. Then I'll summarize the presentation. So let's get started. To think philosophically is to be able to think logically and to be able to reason deeply along the lines of evidence and common sense. So once you're able to apply logic and combine that with common sense based on evidence that you have, then that can actually help you get into philosophical reasoning. And once you're able to reason philosophically, if you're able to combine logic and common sense, it can help you to interrogate various ideas in order to help know or ascertain what is true, what is false, and what makes sense. And you'll be able to make this decision on your own without any external influence. And philosophical reasoning is the basis of science. Science, as we know, is a study of nature and everything around us. So in science, we observe, then we learn, then we draw conclusions based on what we've seen. And once we're able to observe our environment and see for ourselves the things in nature and draw conclusions based on how things behave, this actually is the foundation of how we can understand our environment and actually fit within. Philosophical reasoning also helps us to develop tolerance and understanding for each other as a people, because if we're able to reason logically and we're able to apply common sense, we can understand other people, the perspective that they have, and we can fit that to our own, and we can actually coexist in peace. And philosophical reasoning also helps with strategic thinking, because we can now think about our current circumstances. We can think about where we want to be and what steps we need to take in order to help us reach there. And without this strategic thinking, as a people, as human beings, progress will be difficult or sometimes even impossible. Because if we are unable to think strategically, we'll be clueless as a people. And once we are clueless, we wouldn't even know where we are headed towards in terms of development. In the kind of environment we find ourselves in this world, things are dynamic. Different things happen at different times. Nothing is actually static in this particular environment. And to be able to understand the dynamic nature of the environment we find ourselves in, we need to be able to see things from different perspectives. We need to be able to appreciate things from the different perspectives available to help us see and understand what it is that we are looking at. And philosophical reasoning helps us to achieve this by actually using logic to consider and interrogate other viewpoints which are different from our own. And this ability to actually consider other viewpoints and actually reason along the lines of other people is what helps us to be able to understand each other as human beings. Because although we are people, we are different, we are not the same. The only thing we have in common is that we are human beings. Beyond that, we don't have the same ideas. But to be able to look at things from different viewpoints is what can help us understand each other and bind together as a people. And understanding each other is what brings peace at the end. Once we understand each other, we can coexist and live peacefully with each other. However, the lack of understanding of each other is what actually brings chaos and disaster. If we don't understand each other, then we cannot cohabit in peace. So in summary, philosophical reasoning is to be able to think logically and to be able to reason along the lines of common sense based on whatever evidence that you are presented with. And to be logical and to have common sense is to be able to consider different ideas, in order to know what is true, what is false, and what actually makes sense and what doesn't. Philosophical reasoning also helps us to understand the dynamic nature of the environment that we find ourselves in, considering the fact that the world we find ourselves in is not static. Things keep changing at different times. And once we're able to reason philosophically, we're able to keep track of these changes and learn something from that to our own benefit eventually. And it also helps us to be able to understand things that we are seeing, the environment, other people from different perspectives. And the ability to understand from different perspectives is what makes us able to tolerate each other as a people. And understanding each other is what actually brings peace. However, if we don't understand each other, then there cannot be peace. There will be chaos. So this brings me to the end of this presentation. Thanks for watching.